Welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Seth.
I'm Sil.
And today we are still talking about Love is Blind Season 3. We're still talking about SK and Raven. And I am sick of it, honestly. I think I'm just tired of how many women are coming forward against SK.
Yeah.
We want to get to the meat of our video, which is talking about these legal theories, but I can't. I would be remiss if I did not mention what was her name, Jada Rice, who is the most recent young lady to come out against SK and just explain essentially that he's a serial cheater. You guys have probably already seen it. It's been posted on Twitter. It's just more accounts of how when she was dating him in 2019, she knew he was cheating on her. She found hair in the shower that wasn't hers, obviously. That relationship, I guess, somehow overlapped with his and Hannah's, who I believe we talked about yesterday or the day before. And Hannah's may or may not have overlapped with M's, but maybe both of them, maybe all of them overlapped with Raven. And it's just so messy, honestly. I don't even know what more we can say about it. I was one of the people who said in one of our first videos about him cheating, when we did the video about M, that there's probably going to be more young ladies coming forward now that she's kind of broken the silence. And here he goes. I feel like we're about to one every other day on average. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about that? I don't even know, like I said, if it's worth talking about anymore at this point. SK is just wild. He out there. He for the streets. I just leave him wherever you find him if you encounter this man. So anyway, babe, we were going to talk about these legal theories. So what have you seen floating out there? A lot of people are talking about what could the legal issue be, as Raven and SK put out a joint statement. Obviously, we talked about that, put it out last night, that they're breaking up, they split, and that due to ongoing legal issues, they can't really disclose more. So I think a lot of people start jumping on that, what is happening.
Yeah, a lot of speculation, and I'm so happy that we have my wife, who's an attorney here, that kind of
about the resident attorney,
shed a little light, legally on some of these things. But one of the things that I kept seeing appear is the possible defamation lawsuit, whereas SK could possibly sue these young ladies for defaming him. So I don't know. Let me go to the expert here, wifey. Sid. If that's the case, does he have a case? Does SK have a case? If this is what is happening, does he have a case?
Yeah. So no,
he doesn't. Sorry, SK.
I mean, I've seen that theory floating out there a lot, just in this short amount of time that's been released, that, he may be suing the young ladies who outed him. It's not likely, not under defamation. I don't know if there's some other legal theory he can come up with to try to sue them for something else. I mean, maybe we can think about that. But defamation itself, it's not going to be a successful lawsuit. I can say that. Now, some attorneys will take your money and help you try to sue for anything because they got their money up front. But anybody who wants to win, they're probably not going to take that case. The reason is, I'll just kind of go through the way that the law works. Some of you know, some of you don't know. But when you have a lawsuit, when you have any kind of either a civil case, a criminal case, when you're trying to prove something, a crime or a tort against another person, there are certain elements that need to be met. Elements meaning you have to have done A, B, and C. And then we can convict you of this, or then you can be held liable for this. So for defamation, which also this includes, it's like an umbrella over libel and slander, because I've heard those thrown out there too. the very same elements have to be met. The only difference really between libel and slander is that libel is written and slander is spoken. Mm-hmm. But with these accusations, if they were out there, the young ladies have done both, because they've done interviews and they've printed things and put it out for us to see. Yeah. So you would have that element of it, but you don't have enough elements to prove that this tort or this civil suit should be, they should be held liable for that civil suit. So just so you guys are clear, the elements of any kind of defamation suit, first and foremost, it requires a false statement. And I think that's where he would get hung up, honestly, is because these young ladies have come out, all of them have come out with receipts, right? They've all come out showing proof that this was my encounter with SK. These are the transcripts of my DMs, or these are the transcripts of my text messages. Here's the pictures of him to prove I was with him when I said I was. So they've already set up a defense to defamation with their stuff that we've already seen. Yeah. And the only way that could be countered is if there were some way for him to prove that those were falsified. I definitely saw when the very first young lady came out, there were people coming to SK's defense and saying, well, you know, it's easy to doctor up things like this, and this could have happened or that could have happened. I don't know how easy that is to do. I'm not capable of falsifying transcripts. I mean, that's not the type of thing I would try to do. Maybe it's easier than I think it is. But if, for instance, he were able to say, hey, we can show you how this was doctored, then he could get past that element. Yeah. I don't think he can, honestly, because I believe they're all true. Yeah. I believe they're all true. So by that alone, that whole charge, that whole suit would fail on his face. He can't even make a prima facie case. That means he can't even establish the baseline of this case being valid against these ladies. There are 4 elements, so I'll just go through them all. It has to be something that was publicly communicated to a third party, which these ladies have done. They've definitely communicated it to a third party, all of us. Yeah. They have to have acted with at least the level of purpose of negligence. And I don't want to get into that because it can be kind of tedious to explain, like the difference between negligence and reckless and knowing. These are legal terms that we kind of spew out there. But the point being, they have to at least have acted negligently in transmitting this information. What they've done is purposeful because they put it out for us purposely to see. So that third element would be met. And then we have the fourth element, which is almost always an element in a civil action, which is damages. Damages. Like, what did it cost you? Yeah. So were there damages that he can prove? Probably not. I mean, he would have to be able to show that he lost something. He lost some money because of it. He lost, he got kicked out of school, right? He's in school, or I thought he was. Maybe he's out of it by now. Or he lost his scholarship because of it, or something like that. And
he lost his girlfriend.
No. she's not quantifiable. It has to be something that we can quantify. Okay. Sometimes people will even go so far as to go to counseling or therapy and be like, "See, I had to go to counseling. I had to spend money on that, and I should be compensated." Maybe not. But he would have to establish damages as well. So if those 4 elements cannot each and every one independently be met, defamation, libel, slander, it won't fly. Okay. So that's how that works. If he wants to sue those young ladies, it has to be something else. What I'm thinking of as we're sitting here, the closest thing I can honestly think of him using against them is if they were like extorting him for money or something like that. So for instance, extortion, as big of a crime as it is, it's pretty easy in terms of elements. You just have to have where you're getting money or property from somebody. You're getting them to agree to give it to you under threat of force or, fear, coercion, something improper to get that money from somebody. I'm gonna put this out for the public to see, or I'm gonna tell the producers at Love is Blind, something like that. And then they're sort of extorting money from him blackmailing him. I think that's a stretch. Although it would be easier, I suppose, to succeed, if he could just prove that they were asking him for money in exchange for that. It would be easier for that to succeed than any theory for defamation. So I haven't even heard that one put out there, but it's just one I'm putting out there because the feasibility is greater than the former. So.
Okay.
Have you heard any other legal theories floating around there before I get to what I think it actually is?
No, it was just that defamation.
Yeah. Okay.
That I was pretty much hearing.
Okay.
So what is your theory?
Okay. What I honestly think happened, I think it's a simple matter of breach of contract. I think that SK, maybe, and Raven, we talked a little bit about them both being co-conspirators, perhaps, in gaming the system and gaining as much fame as they could. So it could be Raven potentially being sued for this as well. But for sure, SK seemed like he came in with the ill intentions, and he may or may not have lied or, done something that he wasn't supposed to do that's in that contract. First and foremost, the thing that I'm thinking of that's the most likely is violate a non-disclosure agreement. On any of these shows, because of the way that the taping happens in the gap of time and then them playing it for us to see, there has to be a non-disclosure. And it probably spans a period of time for when they get selected to the show all the way until they do the reunion. Maybe even the Where Are They Nows to some extent, as far as what they can say, what they can expose. And SK seems very loose at the lips. He was telling these girls, I think 2 of them at least, I haven't heard a ton about like what the back and forth was between he and the last young lady, Jada. He may not have even been talking to her during the time of filming, but he was telling people, I'm just doing this for the money. So in saying that, was that a violation of the non-disclosure? Was that saying too much? It might have been. Maybe he said more. Maybe they're investigating that to see, did he violate this agreement? And in the terms of the contract, it probably very clearly states, if you violate any portions of this agreement, then this contract is null and void. We will collect our funds back that we spent. We will collect damages. It might quantify what they would judge the damages to be. So depending on how detailed that contract was that he had and how strict that non-disclosure is, that is most likely, in my opinion, what that is. He could also have violated various other clauses in the contract. I'm quite sure that they have a clause in there that says if he violates any of the rules of the show, and this is where I feel like he and Raven might have done this. Let's just say they had met earlier. Let's just say they had met on Hinge or something. And they both knew they were possibly getting selected for the show.
Wow. Okay.
So now if they're talking, they're not supposed to. There's a list. I don't have the list handy right now, but there's a list of things. I did look this up, I think last season. There's rules, specific rules that they have to follow in terms of, they can't see each other, obviously, before they choose to marry or choose to propose. They can't have any contact. They have to live in their little dorms or whatever. So it could be that he just broke one of the rules, and then that rule being broken also constituted a breach of that contract. So it could be something as simple as that. And certainly if he were communicating with Raven outside of this whole thing and kind of conspiring to game this system, that would be something that would potentially expose both of them to some liability. So, yeah. And then finally, most contracts that I see, that I read through, they have like I want to call it, for just plain language, like an honesty. Like I've disclosed all information true and accurately, you know, I haven't given any misinformation in my application or, you know, anything that I've signed previously to signing this final contract. And if it's discovered that I have lied about any information that I've put forward, then I'm subject to some sort of civil penalty. I'm subject to cancellation of this contract and any funds that were to be dispersed to me. So it could just be something like that. So he might have lied about something fundamental to the show. Like maybe he was supposed to be single.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah. Something like that. So it could be that he violated a clause that required him to disclose certain information truly and accurately. And now it's coming out. Too much information is coming out, and it's shedding some light on that. And that the show is, I think they're displeased, you know, with what has happened here. It's damaged, in my opinion, the integrity of the show. Yeah. We don't know whether we're watching actors and actresses at any given time, or if there's people who are really on there with pure motives. So I think they have to almost make an example out of someone like SK to be like, okay, we're not going to stand for this, or our show is going to get canceled. That's honestly the best legal theories I can come up with in terms of what I think any legal issues would be. Unless all these ladies are suing him for giving them a sexually transmitted disease. Because that could be. Woo. Now with that, it has to be.
Where did that come from?
Well, I mean, it came from SK. That's where it came from. I don't know. I mean, would you be surprised? He seems like...
Yeah, he's throwing it around pretty good.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's spreading the love, and he might be spreading something else.
Yeah.
That would have to be a pretty serious, like a life-threatening type STD in order for you to be able to take legal action against someone for that. But if it is something serious, then it absolutely is something that you can sue for. So that's my wild and out theory
That's pretty wild.
of what it could be. But aside from that, I mean, let me know what else you guys think it could be, and we can talk about it from a legal standpoint if we think that, hey, that might work or that might not work. I know I'm probably not thinking of every possibility that's happening now. And maybe he's just saying, hey, legally, I'm not allowed to talk about this because he is still under the Non-Disclosure Act. So maybe it's not even something as ominous as what we're all looking at it as. Yeah. It could be something just as simple as we're not supposed to talk about this and we might get sued if we say more. Yeah. So I don't know.
Thank you, baby. We got tort law 101. So that was cool. Thank you.
So let us know, guys. Drop the comments below on what your top theory is as to who's being sued and for what. If any of this did not make sense to you, please feel free to chat that as well. I'm happy to go through and make it make sense. Because to me, it makes perfect sense, but I don't know if I'm doing a great job of explaining it for everyone to understand. And let us know also what you think about the young lady. We didn't spend a lot of time about that, but Jada Rice,
I'm tired of talking about SK and his indiscretions.
But it just keeps popping up. What can we do? We can't help but to mention it.
Mention it, but I am sick and tired of SK and his indiscretions. I've had enough.
So I'll be the one responding to all the comments about Jada Rice because he's done. Anyway, guys, like I said, drop those comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk to you all soon.
Bye.